speaking.
Okay, I'm ready.
So welcome everybody to another one of our barley community seminars. The speaker today is Daniel Miralles from Argentina. So Daniel's a full professor in School of Agriculture at the University of Buenos Aires and a senior researcher at CONICET-IFEVA. Is that how you say it? CONICET-IFEVA? Anyway, Daniel got his PhD in Buenos Aires and then spent some time in Australia at CSIRO. And today, I think he's going to talk to us a little bit about yield progress or breeding progress of barley over a period of about 40 years. And listen, I'm just going to pass over to Daniel straight away because we've been here for long enough. So Daniel, over to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Robbie, for the presentation. I will talk about the breeding progress in Malting Barley in Argentina during the last 40 years under different environments. This is part of our team of work here at the university. And I introduced Argentina in terms of how is the main activity in terms of barley. Argentina produced mostly Malting barley, more than feeding barley, and it is the sixth world exporter at the moment. Most of the malt goes to Brazil, which is our most important client at the moment, and part of the exportation goes to Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Chile, and Peru also, and other countries like Colombia. If we see where Malting barley is produced in Argentina, more than 90% of the barley is concentrated in the province of Buenos Aires, that is here. And within the province of Buenos Aires, most of the area is concentrated in the south of Buenos Aires. And the last year we made around 1.4 million of hectares of Malting barley with a production of 4.4 million of tons and an average yield of 3 tons per acre. The last year was not very good for in terms of environmental conditions because there was an important drought during the crop cycle. And normally the average yield is a little bit more, around 4 tons. In terms of the variety distribution, the production is concentrated in 4 varieties. The name of the varieties are here. These 3 or 4 varieties concentrate more than 80% of the area. This graph shows the dynamic of harvest area from 1960 to 2021. And we can see in this graph the reduction of the area, the harvest area of Malting barley from the 1960s to the 80s. After that, from the 1980s to the middle of 2000, there was a very slight decrease in the harvest area. And from the middle of the 2000, increase there was a very important increase in the area because there was important local and regional demand for Malting barley, and now the area is stabilized around the 1.4 million of hectares. In terms of yield, our national yield value from the 1960s increased, but with different rates. From 1960 to 1980, the increase in yield was modest, around 13 kilograms per hectare per year. But from the beginning of the 80s to nowadays, the rate of yield progress was a lot, around 54 kilograms per hectare per year. And part of this continuum of increase in yield was associated with the introduction of European varieties that were introduced around the middle of the 2000s. Previous to the introduction of European varieties, we normally make local varieties, breeding or releases by local breeding, but now most of the varieties that we use in Argentina are introduction from European countries. The production, as a consequence of the variation in the harvest period and the yield, show a very slow variation from the 1960 to the 1980, and from the 1980 to the 2000 increase at a higher rate than the previous one, but the most important increase in production was from the 2000 to nowadays. And now we produce around 5 million tons of Malting barley. Okay, this is a very brief scheme of the production of barley in Argentina, and we wanted to understand which is the or how the genetic improvement modify the physiological attributes and the numerical components of the grain meal, and also the multi-quality parameters of the malting barley in Argentina. And to do that, we make different experiments here at the University of Buenos Aires with the objective to determine the effect of the genetic improvement process on yield and evaluate the numerical and physiological attributes associated with yield of malting barley in Argentina, and also evaluate the impact of breeding on malting quality parameters, commercial and industrial parameters during the last 40 years. Experiments were field experiments in plots under natural conditions without biotic and abiotic restriction, because all the plots were fertilized without restriction, and also were irrigated by the drip system. And we used 11 different malting barley released at different moments in Argentina. You can see here the year of release from 1992 to 2019, and we used within the year we used optimum and suboptimum sowing dates to change the environment that were explored for the different varieties with the commercial density 250 plants per meter square. This is the density that used the farmer, and as I mentioned, plots were irrigated, and we apply nitrogen, phosphorus, or eventually the sulfur when required. Measurements that we made on the plot were phenology. We measured the intercepted radiation during the crop cycle, the aerial biomass at the moment of synthesis and maturation. We calculate the radiation efficiency during pre and post synthesis. We also harvest the grain meal and the physiological components and the numerical components. And also we measure the nitrogen concentration and protein in grain and biomass. And also we measure the quality parameters. All the quality parameters except the nitrogen concentration were measured by the format. This is a view of our experiment here at our unit at the School of Agriculture University. And it is the different plots and the numbers indicate the year of release of this parameter. All these experiments under field condition has be replicated, and it was the design was the normal statistical design, the EDC design. Regarding the results, this is the first result of the phenology. This is 1 year, 2021 and 2020. Obviously, the sowing date was different between both years, and the environmental conditions, especially temperature, was also different. And this is the reason that the duration of the cycle is different between both years. But the general trend is that during the pre-anthetic period from emergence to anthesis, there was an increase in the duration of this phase according to the years of the year. The rate of increase of the duration of the pre-anthetic period was different depending on the when we observe the duration of the post-anthetic period from anthetic to physiological maturity against the year of release of the variety, there was no trend. In other words, there was no change in the duration measured when we measure in days. But when we measure in thermal time, we use very compared to 0 degree. We observe again a unique and a common regression for both years because temperature was the difference between both years, and we measure in thermal time. It appears the difference between both years, and we observe a positive trend when we plot this duration in thermal time against the year of year. But when we make the similar plot during post-anthesis, there was not a trend between the duration of the post-anthesis period and the year of year. In other words, the new varieties were a little bit longer than the older ones in terms of the pre-anthetic period without modification of the spring-seeding period or post-anthetic with the year of the year. We also measure the plant height. The plant height was reduced with the year of the year. In this graph, the plant height was measured in relative value, and we can see a negative trend with the year of the year. The modern cultivars are shorter respect to the older one, and the rate of reduction of plant height was 0.2 centimeters per year. And in terms of the relative value, the reduction was 0.3% per year. It is the rate of reduction of the plant height. Another important point is the, at least for our condition, is the stem diameter, because the problem of the older variety was the lodging. Lodging occurred very early in the crop cycle in the past in this older variety, and you can see here that the stem diameter was improved from the 1980s to the 2010, and after that the stem diameter remained constant or unchanged during the last 10 years. This variety has less problem of lodging problem respect to the other one as a consequence of reduction in plant height and increases in the stem diameter during the year. Harvest index was negatively associated with plant height, and the modern variety has higher harvest index respect to the older one, and it is one of the reasons that determine the increase in grain. Talking about grain meal was increased with the year of the year at the rate of around 70 kilograms per hectare per year. This is the rate of increase in grain meal. And in relative terms, when we pass this absolute value in relative terms, the yield progress in relation to the year of release of the varieties was little less than 1%. It was the genetic progress of our barley from the last quarter. In a recent experiment, we used the same varieties, but in we put in the field in the very contrast sowing dates. This is the study of Camina Ivani and the PhD students at the moment. We can see the yield in very early sowing dates in green. This is an optimum sowing date. This is a little bit late sowing date in blue, and this is really a late sowing date for our agronomical. And we can see that under optimal conditions and early sowing dates, it is possible to see the yield progress and the genetic progress with the rate of yield. It is more than 70 kilograms per hectare per year, similar to the genetic gain of the previous experiment. But when we sow the same variety under the same condition in the late sowing day, the genetic gain dropped to 45 kilograms per hectare per year. And finally, if we make a very late sowing day of the variety to see the genetic progress, we can see nothing because in this very poor environment condition, it's impossible to express the potential of the variety, especially the yield. You can see that we have here 3 tons per hectare against the 6 to 8 or 9 tons per hectare in the very early or in the early and often sowing. This data in this message suggests that breeding for yield, when yield is the target, should be carried out under very good conditions or especially under potential conditions for express difference among them. Regarding the physiological components of grain yield, this is the ideal biomass and harvest index, and I showed in the previous slide there was a positive increase in the harvest index with the year of release, but there are not important variations or significant variations in the aerial value. So the increase in grain yield was associated with the more favorable partitioning to the biomass from the biomass to grain in the newest varieties with respect to the others. This is the increase in harvest index measured in relative terms, 0.2%. When we analyze the grain number and the average grain weight, which are the main components of the grain yield, we can see that the grain number was increasing with the year of release. But the most important, at least for us, is that the average grain weight also increased, and with a higher correlation positive than grain number. And the new variety has a heavier grain respect to the older one. In other words, both yield components, grain number per meter square and grain weight, were increased by grain. And this is very important because the average grain weight is, in one sense, associated with test weight or screening, which is one of the requirements of the industry for marketing. The grain number per meter square increases was associated with the first part of the breeding from 1980 to 2000, but from the 2000 to nowadays, the last 20 years, there was not a significant increase in the grain number per meter. If we analyze the grain number in particular, we can apply formula, the 5 per meter square and the 25, and there was a breeding in this treatment from straight, the 5 per meter square, but the number of grain per meter, the number of grain per spike was increasing from the 1980s to the 2000, but after that, there was not increase in the number of grain per spike. And this is the explanation that there was not important increase in the number of grain per meter square per area during the last 20 years in Argentina, because nothing happened with the spike per meter square, and there was not evidence of increasing the grain per spike in the country. Passing to the commercial trade related with the malting quality, this is the grain protein. Grain protein was not affected by breeding, which is a good news because if you remember, the newest cultivars has the highest yield respect to the older one, and at least for our condition of the experiment, the levels of the parameter of the industry requirement from 10% of protein to 13%. This is the limit of the reception by the industry. There are penalizations below 10% of protein, and also there are penalizations in the price of the malting barley if we exceed the 13% of protein. In general, the modern cultivars maintain most of the data within the limit requirements imposed by them. And regarding the observe an increase of the nitrogen harvest index in the first part of the breeding from the 1980s to the 2000, and after that, the nitrogen harvest index was maintaining with values around 70, between 70 to 80% of the partition of the nitrogen. Other commercial and industrial parameters, like the screening, which is a very important parameter, was maintained with the year of release. There was no change in this parameter. And regarding the malt extract, you can see in this graph that there was an important interaction with the environment. For example, in the first year of experiment 2020, the older genotype show lower values of the malt extract and increase in the new cultivars, but in the next year, most of the ponds were around to the value of the industry tolerance. There was not any trend in the next year. This reflects interaction, strong interaction. And the other industrial parameters like the Colbert index also shows an important interaction with the environment. The protein, the protein matrix is degraded. And again, like we observed in the previous parameters, there was an interaction because with the environment, because in the first year, the Colbert index increased with the year of release, but in the second year, there was not any trend with the year of release for this parameter. And finally, with the viscosity also is very important for the industry, for the beer industry, or in the malting houses, obviously, in the beer, because higher viscosity reduces the quality of the beer. We can see here that there was interaction with the environment, but in general, the viscosity was reduced with the year of release. So the newest cultivar in general show less viscosity than the other one, which is a good news because this suggests that the uh, breeding improves this parameter, reducing the. So some conclusions is that breeding increases the length of the cycle from anthensis to anthesis without change in the duration of the breeding period from anthesis to physiological maturity. In our condition, yield was increased around 70 kilograms per hectare per year. That represents little less than 1% per year. Which is, in our view, a good value for breeding. Exploring the physiological component of yield, we observe increased variety compared to the other one, and without observed change in the aerial biomass. Some literature suggests that increased yield is very important in aerial biomass. I am agree with that, but in our experiment, we didn't see the variation in the yield numerical component showed a genetic gain, and in general were associated with both grain per unit area and average yield. But during the last 10 years, grain per unit area did not show variation. So the increases in yield in the last 10 years was mostly associated with average grain. This is an important challenge for breeding because breeding maintain the average grain weight even when the yield was increasing in the newest cycle. And the improvement in grain per unit area was associated with grains per spike more than 5 per meter square. But again, during the last 10 years, there was not change in both, nor in the number of grains per spike, neither in the 5 per meter square. This is the reason that the number of grains per unit area in the last 10 years. Despite the increases in yield, breeding did not modify grain protein and fuel, and also improved other quality parameters such as viscosity, maintaining the multi-strat value close to the industry requirement, which also is a good thing. And finally, we would like to invite you to the International Barley Breeding Symposium that will be held in Argentina during the last week of October in Buenos Aires, and this is link the webpage for registration and see the program, and you get the notification of the company, and that's all. Many thanks for this.
Daniel, thank you very much for that presentation. I just want to ask now if there's any questions from the floor, from the audience. If you have a question, I can't see anybody put their hand up, so let me just see if there's anything in the chat. So I had a question for you, believe it or not.
Okay.
So what were the drivers of the vast increase in barley production in Argentina in the last 10 years? Why? I mean, it seems to have just accelerated incredibly. Was it due to price? I mean, why barley? Why malting barley?
Sorry, regarding what for the price, Robin? Sorry, I didn't catch the.
What was driving the vast increase in the area of malting barley production in Argentina? What was the reason for it?
In general, the breeders up to the 90s, in general, the breeders try to maintain the grain size, independent of the yield. So our local variety, in general, has a good quality for the industry, very good quality for the industry, but the yield for the farmer was very low. So the price for the farmer, is very important. Obviously, the quality, but it's most important the yield, the levels of the yield, because the price is associated with the yield per hectare. The older varieties, in general, because we are released by the malting industry in general, the breeders to the malting industry, put focus in the past in the grain size. For those breeders was not very important the yield, or even if the farmer increased the yield, other parameters like protein grains or grain size decreased and had penalization in the price. When we arrived the European variety at the beginning of the 2000 year, the increase in yield was around 20%.
Right.
In farm and farmer condition and the field condition, not under potential, in the field condition. And this is the reason that the farmers try to replace the introgression by the European variety, like the European variety, respect to the local variety.
I see.
And this is the reason that now we have not local or very robust local program in terms of breeding, because the European variety were well adapted to our conditions. You can obtain, for example, yield around 9 tons per hectare, 9 tons 5 in the very best field. This is the reason.
Okay, so is barley now more profitable to grow in Argentina? Malting barley more profitable to grow there than wheat, for example?
No, wheat is the most important winter crop. We produce 7 million of hectares of wheat.
Okay.
And 1.4, 1.3 million of barley.
Okay.
The point is that there are another reason, because barley has not retention by the government in the price, and wheat has retention in the price.
Okay.
And the farmers receive less money for wheat than for barley. But obviously, depend the area, barley was well adapted in the south than in the north, because in the south can express more yield potential than in the north of the province of CONICET.
Sounds a bit like America, doesn't it, where you get guaranteed prices for certain crops and no guarantees for other ones. If anybody in the audience would like to ask a question, I see there's one question in the chat. Please pop some notes or pop your question into the chat. Before I ask Sherwin's question, I'm going to ask another couple. The first one was, right at the very beginning of your talk, you mentioned that you put nitrogen down at about 240 kilograms per hectare. That's probably about twice what we put down for a malting barley crop in Europe, if I'm correct. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a reason for that? Is there a need for 240 kilograms per hectare?
In general, when we wanted to express the highest potential of the crop, we use a higher rate of nitrogen.
Okay.
We use normally higher rate than the rate that use the farm normal here in our experience.
What do they use?
Normally, sorry?
What rate of nitrogen is used commercially? In a commercial farm?
Around 100, between 107, 150 to, in the highest environment, 200 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare.
Okay, still high.
And the farmers trying to maintain the phosphorus. We have some deficiency in phosphorus that trying to maintain around 12 to 15 ppm of phosphorus.
Okay.
This is more or less the more frequent yield.
Okay, interesting. So Sherwin has a question in the chat, and Sherwin, I'll just ask it if you don't mind. It's easy for me to ask. So Daniel, was there any data on the enzyme differences between varieties? So on enzymes, so we're talking about diastatic power, I imagine.
respect to the difference between varieties.
Yeah, so was there any data on the enzyme differences between the different varieties in any of the trials? So enzyme would be
enzymes about respect to what enzymes?
diastatic power, probably, so the amylases. Is that correct, Sherman? Do you want to ask the question? Yeah, the amylases.
I have not the data of the. I suppose you mentioned the different ordering, type of ordering or so.
So diastatic power will basically be alpha and beta amylases, and they'll be assayed as I guess, a general measure of amylase activity. Is that wasn't done?
We analyze the different industrial parameters. I showed some of them, not all, because we have another free amino acids or other industrial parameters that we didn't show because they have not both here in this presentation. But with the exception of the nitrogen dynamics that we analyzed in our laboratory, the rest of the parameters were analyzed by the industry. Which I mentioned Burman was the company that made the micromalting analysis.
Okay. Okay. So there's a question. Okay, so there's a question in the chat also from Juan. Juan, do you want to ask it or shall I just ask?
Yes, I can ask. And my question is, given the levels of production and hectares cultivated with barley, what could be the reason or the explanation that there are so few companies that do breeding in barley and that there are only 4 varieties that cover most of the barley cultivated area?
It's an interesting question. I try to explain in my view. In the past, one of the companies that they call it Ilme company concentrate more than 80% of the market in Argentina. Market in terms of Malting Barley and the beer market. During the last 40 years, most of the local companies were bought or were concentrated by another international company. For example, Ilme was a local company, was bought by the Ambev or InBev company. And after this business, the most of the company, local company, interrupt the breeding program. I don't know why, probably associated with the cost to maintain the program, and introduce European varieties. And in my view, is more cheaper in the breeding program introduce varieties than produce and generate the variety. Normally in Argentina, with our traditional breeding program, we spend between 7 to 10 years to release a variety. And if you introduce a variety, the company sells more than 20 or 30 varieties per year and choose those varieties that select or have the better behavior environment, and that is make the inscription in our national system of this variety, recognizing that this is a variety of another company, the INASE, it's our national
Daniel, it's not. It's actually not entirely different. It's not entirely different from what we find in Europe as well. There are always, at least in the UK, there's always a small number of varieties tend to dominate production over any year.
Yeah.
And again, it's just the way it goes.
The few number of varieties that dominate the market is in terms of quality, because one of the industry detects that this variety match with the requirement industry, normally trying to maintain the same variety for in Argentina, the life of a variety is around 10 years. And normally the varieties go out to the market associated with the biotic products, diseases mainly.
Okay. So George has a kind of supplementary question to the a question we asked earlier about amylases, I think it was, or was enzyme levels. Do you extract spirit from barley? Do you make any spirit in Argentina from barley? And the question George has was there any difference in spirit extraction? So spirit would be alcohol spirit from distillation. Was there a difference in alcohol yield across the varieties and time?
No. In general, normally we use for beer, malting for beer, and to also to mix with other alcoholic beverages. So, yeah, but not for alcohol, mainly destillated from barley or stuff.
Yeah, of course, that's what we use it for, right? In Scotland, that's what we use it for.
Whiskey, for example, I don't know the actually, but most of the production of Malting Barley goes to for beer companies.
For beer, yeah, it's the biggest market, I suppose. Another thing you mentioned early on was that you irrigated your plots. Was that just because they were your experimental plots? I'm assuming that barley is not irrigated in commercial agriculture.
Yeah, we try to express the higher genetic potential. This is the reason that we apply nutrients and irrigation. But I show in the map in the south of Buenos Aires, some of the field crops farmers use irrigation to obtain higher yield. And they normally in the southwest, it is the region where there are farmers that apply irrigation. And in the southeast, it's not necessary irrigation because normally we had 1,000 millimeters per year, and it is okay to express the potential. But in the west, where the precipitation are reduced, some farmers use irrigation. It's not the most common. It's not the most common, but there are some farmers that use it.
Fantastic. Daniel, listen, there's no more questions in the chat. If there's anybody who has a question, there is now a question in the chat. So I'll ask it. It's from Javier. And what growth habits do you have more of? Winter, spring, or facultative types? Do you grow winter, spring, or facultative?
The barley could be.
Yeah, what type are they? Are they winter types?
Yeah, in general, yes. In general, different wheat. We have wheat cultivars with the vernalization requirements that are winter wheat. We produce Mediterranean and winter wheat. In the case of barley, at least all the barley that we have in the market at the moment, for malting barley, not for kidney, for malting barley, all the varieties has not vernalization requirements. Most of the cycles are controlled by photoperiod. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So spring types, 2 rows.
Yeah, are not strictly springtime. The spring types, because the spring type, like in Europe, that you normally sow during the spring. Here we sow the Mediterranean barley, or the barley that has photoperiod response in winter.
Okay.
And yeah, this is the reason that in some case we have problems with frost during the first part of the cycle because the frost tolerance in our valley is very low. Not only in flowering, which is similar all around the world, but during the vegetative period, barley is susceptible to frost, and we have problems with that.
Yeah. So in Mediterranean environments these days, they're planting spring types in the winter. Is that the same as in Argentina, or are these facultative types?
Yeah. We use I repeat, I'm not strictly spring because are longer than the spring cycle.
Oh, all right.
We use it. We sow in winter, May, June.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any more questions from the audience? If not, Daniel, we have no more questions for you. Everybody is just giving you their thanks. So I'll give you some as well. Thank you very much for making that presentation. Very enjoyable. Nice to find out about what goes on in Argentinian barley production. And maybe, if we're lucky, we'll see each other again in a couple of months' time in Argentina.
Good. Thank you very much, Robbie. Thank you for this invitation. We see all of you here in Argentina.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Robbie.
Cheers. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.